My squiggly line. Oh, I don't have squiggly lines anymore because we're recording. The squiggly lines are pre-recording. I'm just now realizing that.
Yeah.
I'm getting actual audio waves now.
Once the squiggly line goes rigid, it's showtime.
It's kind of true. What's cracking, citizens of Earth, and welcome to the NeverLag podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Levi, joined by the man who fell in the pit and the Stormblessed himself. Stormblessed Cal, how you guys doing?
Good. Co-NeverLag here. Pitman.
Co-NeverLag.
Good.
NeverLag and Pitman.
Phoning in from the pit.
You're right. We do sound more lame than
pit.
Cal Stormblessed over there.
A little bit.
NeverLag and Pitman playing in the corner with their Legos while Stormblessed is doing the real work.
Eating Play-Doh.
Pitman isn't even
Eating
further.
Play-Doh. Everybody, no, don't worry, Zach. Everybody wants to be Pitman. Everyone buys the Pitman action figures. That's
absolutely. You can't find Pitman action figure anywhere. Ooh, that was cool.
That was crispy.
Crisp. That was good.
Crisp. You know what time it is. All right, we're here. Man. We're going to talk about April. Good old April. Because we're
April showers bring May games, as they say.
Quiet, Zach. That was terrible.
That was
April Fools. You're an April Fool. That's where I was going. April showers. No, that works fine. We don't know what May games. Sure. We don't know what May games will happen. What may happen in May because we're in April. April. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but April was a good. It was a good time.
April
I had a good
was
time with some games
great...
in April. Hopefully, Zach played more than some card games in April.
I did.
Did you play a real game?
I ran out of money in real life. And so I had to play video games because I can't buy any more Pokemon cards. Also, I can't find Pokemon cards anywhere. So that I've passed that train a little bit. So
I kept thinking about that. I kept thinking about that simulation thing from the other day and like making a simulator where you're the person who is the quickest to buy up the stock, and then you get to watch as the father and his children come into the store and they're rejected and they cry and like you get points.
The more kids you make cry, the more points you get. Scalper
hey,
simulator. Scalper simulator is not a bad idea.
Actually, I think it could work.
I think that could work.
The satire would be there, and
the satire would be funny. Yeah,
it might get me into a simulator where I wouldn't otherwise touch it. So
I might try that. But yeah, no. Aside from that, Technically, I played 4 games in April. One of them we talked about last month, which was Pepper Grinder. So I have 3 games to talk about, but all awesome games. It was a good month. We had some releases, some shadow drops.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What did I even... Oh, yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm trying to think. I only have... Man, I've been doing really bad about playing new releases. I have 1 new release in April, and yet April was awesome. I played a ton of cool games. So let's start off. I feel like April was a month of 2 later in April we got some good stuff, but let's say first half of April was all about blueprints. So let's start there because that's one that I played. That's probably where I've put the most time this month, actually. Mm-hmm. When it's all said and done, but I'm curious to start with you, Zach. How far in are you? How many I have?
Yeah. Actually,
a shameful amount.
Okay, you got to tell.
I think I'm around 60 to 70 hours.
Nice. Okay.
Into blueprints.
I know that's a lot, but I like hearing that because it's a good game, and I like knowing that that's all you did. Just kidding. I think I have somewhere between 20 to 25 hours into blueprints. I have not beat it yet. I'll say this with no spoilers, but or the lightest of them. The game is you're trying to get to the mysterious room 46 out of the mansion has 45 rooms, and your goal is to find room 46. And if you do, you inherit this mysterious estate from your great uncle or whatever. And there is when you start playing the game, at the end of the little grid there is an antechamber, and so your goal is we got to get to the antechamber. And so I have gotten to the antechamber in a little. I don't want to say anything else. I've gotten to the antechamber and have played a little bit more since that
Well,
point.
before we go to, like, just to interject here, Calvin, where are you at? Do you care about like minor spoilers? Are you going to play this game? Because Calvin, you've hinted that you don't. It doesn't seem like you will.
Yeah, I'm not thinking I probably will. So I think
Really
go ahead with spoilers. So I played, I don't know what, maybe 2 hours. I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah, a couple.
I played maybe 2 hours. I did a couple of runs, and I was enjoying it. I thought it was very interesting and very cool, but ultimately I kind of landed on that. I think the roguelike nature of it is in this specific case a huge turnoff for me. All of the positives I really do like about it are kind of really brought down by its roguelite nature, which roguelites are always hit or miss for me, but that's what I've kind of decided for Blueprints in my case.
Interesting. Yeah. I think Calvin we should still try and keep it
person. Yeah. So my thought, Zach, since you have gotten kind of near the end,
I think I'm near rolling. I think I'm near rolling.
We can discuss, like, I would think from start to credits, generally speaking. Like, we don't need to solve puzzles or spoil puzzles on here, but just I feel like we can spoil plots or like just certain situations or whatever about like from here to there. So a lot of people have been playing this game. Calvin's not going to dig into it. I think we don't need to be super cautious. Just stay away from like, here's the solution to this puzzle, maybe.
Yeah. Blue square upper left thinking. Quadrant. Just kidding. Well, I'll put timestamps on this one just in case anyone has been wanting to play this and doesn't want any spoilers and you want to
skip ahead.
We'll try and keep it not super spoilery, but if you really don't want anything, I'll put timestamps. But okay.
You've made it to the antechamber.
I've made it to the antechamber and beyond.
Isn't that disappointing the first time? I mean, I get it, but like when you get there and you're like, oh, frick me.
Not really, because it's you just then have another thing to do. Maybe it's not disappointing because I managed to do the next part of it all in the same run.
Well, yeah, that'll do it.
So I just had a really good run where I got the I don't know, how spoiler should we go? Should I just talk about the
I mean, so like when you make it to the antechamber, there's a key that takes you somewhere else.
Yeah. So I went somewhere
else. At that point you kind of know, and you know exactly where to go with the key. It's not even a puzzle.
It's pretty clear where you need to take it. And it kind of worked out that I was working on getting to that location anyway in that run. And then I also managed to open up the antechamber. It like just the cards fell right.
You got the god run.
Yeah, I got it. I had a really good run.
His build was overpowered.
It was. There are some really cool synergies between rooms. What I will say is there's like one room that makes all hallway doors unlocked. And then I later got a certain hallway where that became very useful.
Opens the antechamber. Yeah.
Yeah. That, otherwise might've been hard to get to. So I had some pieces fall into place. I got that. And to be honest,
I had steps to get back to where the key unlocked.
I had a billion steps at that point. I got the sleep mask. I got the bedrooms.
Stepping on me.
I had dinner, and I got the dinner bonus. I had all this stuff going on where I had a ton of steps, and so I was able to then go explore.
I was eating bananas.
I was eating bananas like crazy.
There were apples everywhere.
I did not draft the weight room. Thank goodness.
Right. Yeah. Stupid weight room.
Hate that weight room. And so, I managed to explore most of the area where you go to with that key. There's like one or two things that I think I'm hung up on that I need to do another room to try and figure out now. But
yeah. So that's where you've left it?
Yeah. I'm actually not even done with that run. That was last night. So.
Oh, okay. I would say that's a good, I'm glad you've gotten to that point, because I think that is the point where the game not transitions, but where you kind of finally get to see, all right, there's more than just drafting these rooms and staying in this grid, which you do know before.
You know, a little bit, but there are hints, like, because obviously you start outside the manor.
You can wander around a little bit.
And the first thing I did when I fired up this game is I went outside and like I went down the driveway,
Yeah.
I went and found my camp, I went and looked around by the shed,
explored every boundary basically
yeah,
in the
went and you
outside
could,
area.
if you go the little overlook on the cliff, you can see kind of the little tunnel that's carved out of the mountainside, like right from the beginning, and you're like, what's that? Like, what is that doing there? So from
Yeah,
the beginning, I had a sense that there was more to discover beyond just the grid of the house. Like, so that wasn't even a surprise, because I think they telegraphed that really well if you're paying any attention. Um,
totally.
and but it was still cool, and because the whole time I'm wondering, like, what exactly am I working towards? How are these pieces going to start fitting together? And it's been really satisfying just seeing them piece together. And the roguelike thing for me has worked really well, because I feel like the fun of the grid, I enjoy the puzzle of like, what's the optimal way I can put all my pieces this time. And then it has the roguelike of, the more you play, Calvin, I don't know if you got to this point, but you start to unlock items like a floppy disk where you can permanently upgrade a given room. And so
Yeah.
you might have a room where like I'll give a low spoiler example. The boudoir, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, the
boudoir,
boudoir.
that room initially has no benefits. It's just, other than being a purple bedroom.
And
But
having some puzzle elements in it, but yeah, as far as
yeah,
like
there's
on a run
occasionally
run
like
basis.
but a run basis, there's not much benefit. But then I unlocked a floppy disk that allowed me to choose. You get to like choose from a couple of different benefits that become permanent, which is cool too. You feel like, okay, there is some progress that is remaining. And so now every time I draft the boudoir, I gain
Yeah.
two dice, and those dice I can re-roll the drafting rooms every time I hit a door. And so it's like, I've had multiple of those where I have various rooms that have become pretty great. And that whole process has been really fun. And there were a couple of points where I was frustrated because of the roguelike nature. It's like, oh, this run screwed me. And that's true, but it's so fast to just be like, okay, I got screwed out of that run. Let's start again. Like it, and once you know the mechanics, and you know what the rooms do for the most part, and kind of, you start formulating plans of, I want to try and do this on this run, or I'm trying to get to this side of the antechamber, or whatever your plan is. It becomes a really fast thing where you can do runs pretty quickly. And if one doesn't pan out, you just start again. And most of the time I made some progress, whether that was like unlocking some kind of permanent benefit, or a lot of the progress is mentally you start to figure things out. And so it's like, even if a run dead ends, I'm like, oh, I just learned this other thing about how this room works, or I just figured out a clue, or I got a really interesting piece of world building. And so, I mean, I've done a ton of runs. I think I'm on, some of this is I've been playing with my kids, and they've done some runs where I'm like letting them do it, but I'm like on day 25 at least, pretty far in. And most of the run, like, there's only a few runs that were really kind of frustrating. Like I've enjoyed it throughout. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Levi, I'd be curious how you feel about the roguelike aspect of it.
I don't know. I've really struggled to like wrap my mind around how to, I guess, not only feel about the game, but like how to express that, because the game is exceptional. It is, um, we don't get, this is the closest thing to The Witness we've gotten since The Witness came
Yeah.
out. And how long has that been? It's been over a decade at
Yeah.
least. Was that 2014 maybe?
Something like that. It was mid 2010s. Yeah.
So I mean, these games just don't come along very often, and I think that this game is exceptional. Like it has really, really good puzzles. Some are a little obtuse, but that balance is really hard to strike. I think if you love puzzle games, um, the problem remains that is time. Like, people don't have the most time. There's too many games, and outside of games, there's all the life responsibilities we have. Like, if this game came out in 2014, I feel like the time wouldn't bother me as much, because I would be happy to play this game for 100 150 hours because I'm not playing much else. um, so I guess to start out, I would say that like the opening 25 hours, I think 20 hours ish is probably where about most people run. 20 to 30 is when people will reach room 46. I think is kind of the sense I've gotten when you'll roll credits. I think that journey is phenomenal. I have almost no critiques of that. The roguelite element can frustrate at times, but that early in the game, from start to credits, which is funny to say, but like there's enough puzzle elements that, like you said, it's few and far between that you will do an entire run and be like, man, I accomplished nothing that I set out to do. I learned nothing new. That can happen, but it's much less common. The frustration I have is that after credits, some of these bigger puzzles that start to emerge, and the grounds start to or continue to open up. The RNG and the roguelite element becomes at that point only frustrating, I feel like. And not in a way where it's like, all right, it's unplayable, because the core concept of drafting these rooms every day is addictive. It is fun and addictive. But that also, the flip side of that coin is when someone creates an addictive roguelite, but that roguelite also starts to feel like it's wasting your time, then that's kind of a dual-edged sword where like it becomes easy to waste your time because it's an addicting loop. But then after the end of 2 hours, you're like, what did I really accomplish here? And I'm kind of rambling all over the place, but the one thing I will say, the one thing I will say is that like when you don't accomplish what you want to in a run in Blueprints after the credits, especially, the frustration is more than other roguelites, because in other roguelites there tends to be a combat element or an element of skill, and so you can overcome bad RNG or bad luck on a run and still accomplish what you want. This is a puzzle game. There's no amount of skill that can overcome the game just kind of not giving you what you need when you need it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do think that this game really, I was actually thinking about it this morning. I think the perfect solution, because part of me is like, okay, so do you just make this game not a roguelike entirely, like just a linear game? I don't know how you do that, because the core concept is so integral and also good. I think it is fun for a long while.
I think it's good for what it is. Yeah.
So I came to the conclusion, I really, really wish that this game kind of went the Inscription route, where it's like you roll credits, you reach room 46, and then fundamentally the game changes.
He hasn't finished Inscription.
Well, people know Inscription is weird. It changes. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Spoiler. Yeah. But like if they had done that with this game, where it's like, all right, Blueprints is what it is until you reach room 46, you roll credits, and then afterwards it changes, and all of a sudden there's way like maybe zero or at least way less RNG involved.
Or they give you some. I was thinking there's,
or they give you a bunch of tools.
They give you some other tools that are like overpowered or allow for a lot more flexibility, so that you can focus.
Where you
more
can just
on,
get what you want when you need it.
Piecing the puzzles together versus. I think I know what pieces to put together, but I have to do 5 runs to maybe line those up.
To maybe get it.
I totally see that, because
it's very annoying. And I
think I've touched on some puzzles outside of the what is going to roll credits, and there are things I'm trying to like do where it's like I've done 6 runs and haven't gotten a certain room or combination I need to solve something, and I totally see what you're saying, and I love this game. I think it's amazing, but if it doesn't have that, I feel like that could be a really good addition to the end game or post game.
Yeah, and I feel like with you saying you could give the player more tools, this could even be something they change in a patch later on, I feel like, where once you reach the credits, they literally give you the keys to the kingdom a little bit. Yeah. And you have much more agency and control over what you're drafting and how things are working, what items you get. Maybe the shop sells everything all the time, or like just things that would make this so much easier, because I won't spoil these 2 puzzles because they're big puzzles. But like once you figure out what you need to do to get to room 46, you have to do it every single time you start a new day. And it's kind of cumbersome. Like it's legitimately one of these things where like, who play tested this? Because it's not the end of the world, but it just takes me an extra 3 to 5 minutes every time I start a run and costs me X amount of steps just to make sure that if I make it to the antechamber or whatever, that this run can be successful. And it's just like, why did we? And later on, there's a way around it and stuff, but way later on, I felt like, and that's a good example. There's another major puzzle. Post credits is typically when you'll find this out, but once you uncover it, it unlocks basically a permanent upgrade akin to what we're talking about, which is kind of cool. Some new upgrades for your runs. And you get to select between 5 different upgrades at this location once you solve this puzzle. And you read through them and you're like, all right, which one do I want? Okay, I want this one. And then it says you can change this at any time by redoing the puzzle. And it's just like the puzzle is such a pain to do. Um, because it requires 5 elements to complete, and to get 3 or 4 and then just not get the 5th one, not have enough steps, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've already solved this puzzle. Why not give me the ability every day to reset which power I wanted or something?
Yeah. Once I've solved it, like, let me use one at a time, and maybe I can use 1 power a day, or I don't know what the limitation is, but like, don't make me redo this cumbersome puzzle that I know how to do it. I know what all the pieces are. There's no fun in me just trying to line up the RNG to get all 5 elements in place. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
So that's my biggest problem, is that and the thing that sucks is I still am enjoying this game. I still think it's special. I still want to solve these puzzles. I think this is a game I'll probably slow burn from now on, play once a week or every couple weeks, and just try and but the problem with that is then you're not as in it as you were. But
totally. Yeah.
Right now I'm in the middle of another puzzle where it's like, I did this whole, like, it's kind of a platforming thing or whatever, where you have to get these platforms in the right place to be able to get to the room you want to, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I did all this thing for like 15 minutes. I get to this new room. All right, what new thing am I going to learn? Oh, there's a padlock on it. And so I'm like scrambling through my notes, trying to, like, can I please figure this out? Because I do not want to have to redo this on a different day once I find the code. Inevitably. Like, I'm here now, and just the amount of effort I have to worry about redoing to get back to this if I don't solve this right now is just not a good experience. I think post credits, this game would benefit a lot from just removing 90 to 95% of any of the RNG, because it just becomes a pain point, I think, for the player, more than the fun drafting your room. Because at that point, you're kind of beyond. There are certain rooms you still need post credits. There will still be rooms that matter. But a lot of what you're trying to solve kind of goes beyond the drafting board at that point.
Right. So it's not really about
why am I still dealing with
the optimal rooms, because you're outside of the grid for the most part.
Yeah.
You might need certain things in certain rooms, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because I've almost experienced a little bit of that pre-credits with some things where it's like, I already know how all of these things work. I would like to focus on the things I haven't solved.
Yeah, and at that point, resetting the day does feel like a waste of time or failure if you didn't get where you need to. So, I don't want to overly complain. Like I said, I think this is an exceptional game. I hope. I don't know. The game is so fundamentally what it is that I don't know that we'll see that patch that makes post credits better. That feels like such a specific thing that, the dev isn't sitting here listening to us probably. So, I don't know that will happen. But man, it would really improve this game.
Yeah.
That is otherwise just like phenomenal. We don't get these games once every couple generations. Honestly, this is a masterclass in puzzle design.
And to take it back, this is still, a 9.5 or something. Like, this is maybe a top 20 game for me.
Really?
Maybe. I haven't decided
yet.
I have to look at my top 20, but this is a great game. Like, even with these issues, I've had so much fun, and just something we haven't touched on yet is the world building and storytelling that happens through this game and the way it unfolds. Yeah. I'm just captivated, not by the gameplay loop and not just by the puzzles and the mechanics. I'm so captivated by the story and what's going on. There's just been so many satisfying moments. I need some time to sit on this to think where it actually lands on my list, but I think
that is cool to hear that it's in that discussion.
I think it's that level of good where I could see this in certain people's top 10 lists. And maybe it won't quite be my top 20, but I think this is still, like, numbers can be tough sometimes, because in some ways I'm like, this is such like you said, a master class, which is like a 10, but there are some things that could really improve the experience still. So it's hard to, like, quantify it in that way, but I do think this is one of the best puzzle games I've ever played. This is special. Like you said, it kind of transcends that and becomes, I'm like, this is such its own experience that it's going to stick with me.
No other
There's
game
nothing
I've ever
like
played like this.
And
no one's ever played anything like this.
It, like The Witness, we'll look back in 10 years and be like, oh, that was cool. Remember this? Or, like, it's that type of game, right?
Which is why I wish so badly that some of the quality of life was there.
Because I want to uncover I want to uncover everything that's going on, and I am not looking forward to sinking 100 hours into uncovering some things if it could take me 20 beyond credits or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and I hope that your experience varies, because that's how RNG works. So hopefully it won't be
right.
as big of a problem for you. Are you keeping a notebook?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay,
I have a
yeah.
couple
I mean,
pieces of paper with random notes and then a bunch of screenshots.
yeah. And so for me, I kind of wish that I had, once I got closer to rolling credits and getting to that room, I kind of neglected the notebook a little bit more, because I knew what one or two things I was working on. And
Yeah,
now
you thought
post
you had it
credits,
figured out.
there's so much that I'm like, I have such a broad amount of clues or red herrings or whatever from all these disparate places. And I'm like, shoot, I really should have started compiling this a little bit better and trying to categorize it a little bit better, because now every time I come to a puzzle I need a solution for, I'm like, bruh, I don't even know where to start half the time with some of this, because I have so many digits and codes and dates, and like I'm not sure what
Right.
goes to
Yeah.
what.
I'm going to be in the same problem because mine's not organized at all.
So, and I think without the RNG element, I would be much more likely to really rack my brain and figure these out. And unfortunately, due to some of the RNG elements, I find myself once or twice just being like, all right, I need to find some like ascending hints or like some clues to just get me, because I don't want to have to go through the effort to draft whatever room the clue might be in again, or literally
Just to
sift
like,
through 200
yeah,
screenshots to figure.
I don't
Like,
want to try and get one room to double check. It's like, oh, I don't want to try and get the laboratory and do this one
yeah.
thing to
Whereas in
try
the
and.
witness, it's like, all right, I'll just wander over away somewhere else and come back to this, because I can just wander back to this and solve it whenever.
It's open world.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep, I see what you're saying.
I will say though, the game is great. If you love puzzle games, you have to play this game. Calvin, I feel like you should give it an honest shake again, maybe 3 to 5 hours, because
it's
like
so good.
you love The Witness, and that's a first person game. And I don't know, I just, as frustrating as this can be, it is cozy too. Like when I pop back in and start a day, it's just like, ooh, I'm back in blueprints.
Back in, yeah.
What room is it going to be? Oh, one final complaint though, I do need to say. The other quality of life desperately needed in this game is that you are, like you said, you're able to get upgrade discs, or there's other ways to like duplicate how many rooms of a type are in your deck. This game kind of wants to be a deck builder in a way, because you're collecting rooms and how many are in your deck, and how rare they are, how frequent they are. This game, for wanting to be a bit of a deck builder, needs to give you more agency over that deck, because you can upgrade, you can add a new room, but then 5 hours later you go, shoot, I should not have made that room. I don't need 5 of these anymore, but I forever have 5 in this deck that keep coming up. Or nice, I made this one room super super common, and I don't need it anymore, and I can't get it to come back up to make it less common. Like, it does not let you tune the deck near enough. That would go such a long way, because right now I did some things where, one room I could upgrade to, whenever I draft the billiard room, then I get a whole bunch of hallways added to the deck for that day. Yeah. And I'm like, that's great, because if I can draft these hallways, then I can get to the antechamber easier. Like, it made sense at the time. And now I'm just like, I don't need all these hallways. I wish I had taken a different upgrade for that room. It needs to let you fine tune and work with the deck more frequently. It does not feel like it allows you that opportunity enough. And right now I'm deep into the game, and I'm kind of like, my deck is not working for what I need right now. Like, I have too many of these things I don't use anymore. And this room is really rare, and I need it to be common, and I cannot get the RNG I need to make it common. That would go a long way too. Just letting you kind of comb through your deck daily or whatever, and manipulate things would really help post credits. So
yeah.
Anyways, take all of that into a giant bucket and do with it what you will. But this is a 9 to 10 out of game for puzzle lovers. The highs and the quality here do, in fact, despite how much I've criticized it, they do outweigh the criticisms. Like, this is worth experiencing. It's pretty phenomenal, and it's so
agree.
new.
I've had a blast with it. And the nice thing is, rolling credits is not nearly as cumbersome, and so you can kind of decide how much you want to do after.
That's true. That is a fair point. Is
get,
that like if you just want to play this game to credits, I think it's fairly well balanced for that, and that'll take you about 20, 25 hours.
And it's
then if you're like, this game is my jam, I'm willing to deal with the frustrations, there is a heck of a lot more to do, and you can decide at that point. But if not, you will have had a pretty freaking good puzzle game up to for 20, 25 hours.
Yeah. So I would say, if it sounds at all interesting to you, must try this game. It's great.
Yeah, man, it was hard not to spend a half an hour on that game, Calvin. How'd you enjoy listening to that podcast about Blueprints?
Did we convince
you? I found
you?
it very interesting because
is it reinstalling?
I have experienced some of it, but obviously
any new thoughts, or you really just think that it's not going to work for you?
I don't feel any differently. I mean, I'm open to giving it another try, but I really feel pretty stout in the fact that it's not click. It doesn't click for me.
Yeah.
And
how do you handle first person in real life? Like, are you okay with it?
Oh, it's awful. Every day is misery.
Every day is a
Calvin, just like, have you seen that where they like attach a camera behind them and they can like see themselves in third person? That's how Calvin lives his normal life. It's not disorienting at all. Every day Calvin wakes up and goes,
yeah, but at least you can like look down and see your feet, you know, in Blueprints. My two kids were marveling at the fact that because it's been fun playing Blueprints because Belle and Maddie have been playing with me. Belle has been awesome for helping solve puzzles. She's probably better than I am. She's 10.
That young brain.
She does, and she's smart. And she's like figuring out all these puzzles. And then Maddie is 5, and she's obsessed with controlling it. So I'll give her the controller, and she's getting, because I want her to practice like using the 2 analogs, and she's actually getting pretty good. At first it'd be like looking at the ceiling while moving. I'm like, Maddie, you got to do the others. You got to look where you're going. But she's kind of got it now where she'll be, you know, playing
baby's first steps.
Yeah. I'm forgetting the original point I was making, but it's been
fun. I don't know. Do you ever have a point though?
I mean, in an overarching way, like Blueprints, there is a point and you have to piece it together.
There's a lot of RNG to my
through the hours of
my words.
discourse. You can piece together some pretty interesting insights. So thanks for
if you compile the words I've said over the last month, there's a point or two in there.
You know, you can sift through stitch them together a lot of different sentences you could, with any individual word.
From disparate conversations, you might
put
find
a lot of words in my mouth, actually. So maybe don't do that.
All right, well, Calvin, why don't you talk for a minute? What the heck did you play in April?
Yeah, what did you play?
The biggest thing I played was Dead Space, as you briefly hinted at last video.
I know. I almost said, tell us about Dead Space again, but
so the reason I waited for this month is because I did play in March, but maybe 4 hours. I think I was still in like chapter 2 or something.
Yeah, it's an April game.
So the majority of my playtime,
I'll allow it. It's April. Approved.
April. But yeah, I just finished it a couple of days ago. Rolled credits. I got the ending. Probably not going to go for the platinum because
I did not either.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a lot. I don't care that much. But
any game that requires 3 playthroughs to get the platinum, I'm just like, are you a FromSoft game? Because otherwise, probably not. I'm going to do a.
And even FromSoft, it's usually because they tricked me into it. The third playthrough.
They tell you it's 1.5, and then you 4 it, and you're like, oh, you got me again.
All right.
You accidentally talked to the wrong person you shouldn't have talked to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh man, I didn't feed the dark fetus to the right person before the.
I was wondering if you were going to stick the landing there, and you did.
That's close enough to what happens in Bloodborne.
That's really close.
That's going to be in Duskbloods.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, Cal. I totally cut you off. You liked it. You liked it, right?
Yes, very much. I have not really played any. I don't know. Is it a horror game or just a suspense?
It's in the. It could
what does
be.
It fall under?
I feel like to me it's more suspenseful, horror. But it's survival horror. Yeah.
It's survival horror mixed with like action. I think,
which I have played very little of. I mean, quite literally, probably the only video game experience I have that comes close to anything horror-ish was the the part of Uncharted 1 way back in the day where you like find the zombies in the bunker.
Everyone's favorite horror game.
Yeah, like
Uncharted
that's quite literally about as close as I've ever gotten.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not my genre that I usually go to, but so I was curious if I would enjoy it, especially after my my realization with things like Pacific Drive and the survival.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what started
that.
this, huh? I was like, I'm curious,
Yeah.
what will you think of this?
Because I've been trying to piece together.
You're playing Pacific Drive, and you're like, I wish this station wagon was a spaceship.
Yeah.
But
he was really stressed out by Pacific Drive, and I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this. What's going on? And I was like, all right, does Dead Space stress you out?
I'm trying.
And it turns out no.
It's funny how that works.
What's happening? Well, I'm trying to diagnose myself here.
I mean,
what's going on in Calvin's brain? We don't know.
Because I know that part of what I don't like with Pacific Drive was the survival aspect. It's mixed with other things, but that was part of it. So I know Dead Space is also a survival game in its own way. So it was a bit of an experiment. Turns out I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, Pacific Drive isn't survival as much as it's like that's its own thing. So
yeah,
no, it's more so just like the vibes. You're afraid of things. You're on edge. You're trying not to get your car broken
which is
or
interesting
get killed.
Because
and then in this one you're
metric,
being constantly surrounded by aliens. So.
By that metric, I mean you're constantly on edge and afraid of things in this game too. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Third person,
Calvin just hates
really
is
a big deal to me.
Which I get. We talked about. I said if Dead Space were first person, I actually probably would not like it as much.
No, I definitely would not have played it. I don't think
so.
But anyways, thoroughly enjoyed it. The story it was really good. Took turns I did not expect. And we can talk general spoilers because you have played the original, at least, right? Zach?
You be warned. It's an older game, and even the remake is old now. So spoilers.
But
I beat the original. So
general story spoilers. Like I was never expecting at any point in this game that we would be leaving the ship. Totally. It really is just kind of the final chapter that you're leaving the ship.
But still cool.
But still super cool.
But still
very
it was
unexpected.
Just like, whoa, what?
Like, we're actually going. Yeah.
And the mission was awesome. I remember getting to the surface of the planet, and just like looking around, and then it's not a not like an escort mission or whatever, but like you're kind of following the pillar.
Because you're bringing the what's it called? The
obelisk or
oh gosh, I'm forgetting what it's called now. But you're bringing the artifact thing back to, it's where it needs to be.
I just remember it looked so dope, and I mean the sci-fi. This game just oozes awesome sci-fi everywhere.
So I would
all
say
over the place.
Yeah, I would say that's the next big thing is just all of the design and visual and artistic direction behind the game is
the set pieces
10 out of 10. It's great. I haven't looked much at the original. I don't know like if it really is just mostly a polish in graphics or if they kind of revamped some things with the remake.
The original is old enough that it's a pretty notable step up because the original came out in like 2008 or 9 or something like that. Mm-hmm. At the time I played it, it felt like it looks now, but I'm betting
all the locations and everything are the same and were there.
I think in a general sense, it's pretty comparable. It's just like they did a fantastic job actually making it like,
I mean, the game looks phenomenal.
It looks modern day,
really
incredible. It
runs great.
Yeah. And had good source material.
So just all of the visual design elements were great. I love Isaac's suit. Super cool sci-fi suit, and as you upgrade it, it just looks cool.
Dude, the suit you get after you beat the game almost made me want to replay it. I was like, if it was one more playthrough to get the platinum, I might have done it.
I'm bummed because
it's so awesome.
I was already digging my suit I had by the end of the game, but I noticed I unlocked the next suit with New Game Plus, and I'm like,
did you look at it? Do you know what it looks like?
No.
Oh, dude, it's like it's all white. It's so clean
looking. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's awesome.
But yeah, and then even utilization of the HUD is so good. I love when games do that well, where everything that you interact with, everything HUD wise, is something in universe. It's in game. You know,
Yeah.
the only thing that is video game HUD in this game is the actual pause menu to like quit to the main menu or something. Everything else, your map, your inventory, it's like a little hologram projector from your chest that
It's
pulls
like
out in front of
in-world
it.
holograms
Yeah,
and
in front of his
screens.
face, and it moves
Yeah.
with your character. So if you just spin
Yep.
the camera around, it like you're looking at it from the backside. Cool stuff like that. And then
Yeah, I think that shouldn't be understated. That goes such a
no,
long way to immersing
it's,
you in this world.
yeah, and the immersion is huge for a game like
I
this.
also love the color. I just love the design too. Like the UI just looks so good and has good
Yeah.
colors, and they did a good job.
And then continuing with HUD, basically your health, the all your things that matter to your character in survival, your health, your abilities like stasis and all that, um, are integrated into your suit. Like your health is shown as basically like vial tubes on the back of
Yeah,
your suit that when you take damage, they
which
are no
gets rid of
longer
a
lit
health
up.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
so
then
good.
you refill them. Same with your stasis abilities and everything. It's all
More
like
games need
LED
to put
stuff
the
on the
effort
back of your suit.
into implementing their UI into real world
Yeah,
things to get it
and so
off the screen because it does so much for the game.
there's literally there's no HUD for the
Yeah.
game because it's all in world, and so it really does immerse you and kind of it feels less video gamey in that way, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Love that.
I totally
Yeah.
agree. The original kind of did that too, with like your
Yeah,
ammo and things like
which
being integrated into the game
I gotta
itself.
say, like,
Pretty cool.
I know the remake has obviously improved on a lot of things, but just kind of knowing that the original was mostly what this game is, it's pretty impressive for its time.
It was groundbreaking. It was also, I think it was the
Yeah,
first survival horror I played, and
and then
it blew me
you
away.
factor into the abilities and things like
Yes.
the zero gravity and the telekinesis, and
Yeah.
it was wild playing this as a remake. I never played the original, but just seeing like, this is Control.
Yeah.
Like this is Control
Yeah.
before Control.
Yeah.
In 2008 or whenever this came out, like it's pretty impressive
It
the gameplay.
it feels
I'm sure they polished it up, but if this was what was in the original, that's ahead of its time as far as
absolutely.
how everything feels to play and control and manipulate objects and throw it at enemies. It feels so good.
Yeah, just from a gameplay standpoint, everything that they're doing, like, does not feel like, a game that came out whenever the original did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but yeah, super cool. It's like you said, the abilities all feel very Control, except it's in a much kind of grittier scenario.
Yeah,
All the weapons, pretty cool. I didn't even get to try or use all of them because
the weapons are cool, man.
I was still unlocking and finding new weapons when I was already pretty established in my weapons, so I didn't end up trying them all. But there's a big variety of weapons that are all very different and
I
all
love the
really fun
saw
to
blade.
use.
Did you
The
ever
saw
use that
blade
one?
was, yes,
That one was
because
so
that
good.
one's so good
It's
for
good for
close range,
ammo.
at least for taking off limbs quickly.
Yeah, and it's good for preserving ammo too. But just
Yeah.
the basic, what is it, plasma cutter?
Yeah,
I mean, that alone could go on a top 10 video game weapon list
and
of all time.
just small things that all go so far, like with the plasma cutter. Each weapon has your primary fire with R2, but then it has something different or special that it does with R1. It does something different.
Mhm.
And it's so simple, but just the plasma cutter, R1, all it does is your reticle, and physically on the gun you see it too. It'll go from either vertical or horizontal, and it changes like what your shot does and how it
Yeah.
hits the enemy, which
And I
is
always loved it.
also,
Was so satisfying when you get to the little like breaker by a door
yeah,
and you need to like slice it, so you turn the plasma
Yep.
cutter so that it's horizontal and it just like cuts right
Yeah.
through the breakers perfectly. That was so satisfying. Just little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just go right into that. The combat is really good. I mean, not only do you have the abilities we mentioned, you have stasis, which I didn't use a ton, but it did come in very useful sometimes, where you can slow enemies down. Um, that helped a lot, but the biggest thing was probably the telekinesis, being able to grab objects, or even sometimes other enemies or something and throw them at each other. That's just so much fun on a fundamental level. Just basic weapon combat. I love that rather than just enemies having a set amount of health and just like or focusing on maybe like headshots like a lot of other things do, it focuses on the limb system. And so just like pouring everything you have into their body or their head doesn't really do much. But if you remove all their limbs, then they die. And so it really forces you to be a lot more precise with your aiming and your targeting, and it's just all plays into that. Ammo is a rare resource, so you're trying to use it wisely, and that plays into wanting to really accurately target the limbs and not just like bullet sponge them. So good stuff.
I think if you've ever wanted to play an Alien Isolation game and explore a fully realized Death Star, like this is the game, man. It's just I think the biggest thing for me, everything is pretty near 10 out of 10. The sound design is phenomenal in this game. Like it brings it home. Play this with headphones in the dark. Ooh, what a time. But for me, the biggest thing is the what's the ship called? The
Ishimura.
The Ishimura is so well realized as a physical real location. It feels so real as you explore throughout the ship and reach different sections of it that are used for different things. And it's just some of the coolest science fiction locations you will get to see realized. And it's the Ishimura is the best part of the game to me.
Yeah, it's super cool. To basically piggyback right off of what you were saying, a very impressive thing that this game does that I didn't know it did, and I wasn't expecting going into it. And I think it's the only other game that I've seen do this. It does the no cut thing that God of War 2018 and Ragnarok did. There, other than pausing or when you die and reload, there is not a single load screen or cutscene. It's all in game without any cuts.
Really? I never even thought about that.
The entire game.
Yeah.
I knew it was immersive and it goes out of its way to be immersive, but I never actually realized that there's no loading screen.
From start to finish, I mean
there is fast travel, right? No, there is no fast travel.
There is no fast travel. That's part of it. It's got the similar.
Yeah, you got to use like trains and things. Yeah.
You work your way through the ship to the areas you need to be, usually by like slowly unlocking doors, and throughout it, there's a tram station connecting all of the ship from the front to the back. But you have to physically get
on
the
there, tram, and then
you have to physically get there and unlock that tram before it's accessible. So, but every time you need to get back, like if it does a lot of retreading throughout the ship, and I don't know, I think it does a good job between the no cuts and reusing areas that it never felt boring or retreading ground. So I don't know, but I was really impressed by that.
I think that this is a 10 out of 10 game. Like, I just think it does everything it wants to do perfectly. I have pretty much no criticisms of the game. I don't know where it ranks, but I am curious for you. Do you think this is a top blank game?
It's a tough question. I do want to sit on it more, but initial reaction.
Whatever you say now will be used against you eternally. But yeah, go ahead.
First thoughts is that it's probably not a top 10 game. That's too hard to breach. But I think it could be top 15.
That's kind of where I'm at. Even looking at my list, it is in the conversation for a top 15 game, which is
it's just
so well done,
really good. Like you said, it's kind of,
and it brings something to the table that no other game I've played has done as well.
That's what I was gonna say. It's kind of perfect for what it is, and for me at least, it's pretty unique. It's kind of a one of a kind game in my my library that I've played. So
totally. I'm glad you got to it. I'm glad you finished it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was one of those where I'm just like, this is, if you like science fiction, and you like being spooked a little bit, I mean, this is a game to get lost in.
And
So,
and just kind of re-saying the same thing here, but just again with the immersion, I was watching a little video that talked about it. Again, the fact that it never has any cuts. The entire game, aside from deaths or actual pauses, is one continuous take. It does so much for the immersion in a tense game where
yeah.
there's never like, in other games maybe at least a cutscene you can kind of just like relax. Like if something happens, it's a cutscene, it happens.
Yeah.
But in this game, there's never a moment where you can relax. There's never a moment where it's like,
Or
okay,
even I think of the very beginning when spoilers, most of your crew dies as you enter
yeah,
the Ishimura. It is a one shot transition. I never thought about that, but you literally walk into this like other control room and you can see everyone through this thick panel of glass, and it just seamlessly transitions into this playing out where your character is now watching these aliens basically kill the rest of your crew. So it's very well done. It's a
yeah,
great game.
absolutely. So glad I got to it and finished it.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, we're definitely going to run a little long today. I've got several games to talk about. Zach, you've got a couple more. Where do you guys want to go? I can do one quick.
Let's hear one of your quick ones, Levi.
Yeah, one of my quick ones. I played Akimbot in April. I think toward the beginning. And this was a Steam backlog game kind of. Actually, I might have picked it up recently, but I had my eyes on it for a while. This one looks a lot. This is a love letter to PS2 era Ratchet and Clank, really. Kind of channeling I would say deadlocked / up your arsenal
this
vibes.
Looks dope. And a quick Google, and this looks really
cool.
Yeah,
and so
I'm gonna have to play this.
I won't wax poetic too much on this. It has flaws for sure, but I just kind of came out of it thinking, man, I wish more people would kind of go after this genre. I feel like this genre has a little bit died, even though we still get Ratchet and Clanks. Knock on wood. Hopefully, we're still getting more. Ratchet and Clank has lived on, but like, there's no one else doing it. And it's like we have so many indie games and AA teams. Like, more people should attack this third-person platformer shooter genre that is kind of empty, I feel like, because it's just fun. I had fun playing this. It ran pretty well on the Steam Deck. I played it on PC and Steam Deck. And it maybe a little bit overstayed its welcome. It's longer than I expected. But at the same time, it kind of kept me interested. The story it's a Ratchet story, but like it had some good twists and turns and some decent characters. I found your little companion robot incredibly annoying at the start, but I don't know. I became a little bit endeared to him throughout the playthrough. The two characters, they very much had the gruff Ratchet, and then although I guess Clank is very monotone and logical, this one is much more annoying and zany. But it worked. It was a fun time. I thought that the art style I think is awesome. This game looks so good. They nailed the art style.
Both main characters in that game are robots, right?
Yes, everyone's a robot. It's a very I don't know. That's one complaint I would have is I feel like they could have made the characters a little more interesting. They do kind of have this like boilerplate Lego look to them.
That is something Ratchet and Clank specifically has always been really good at. It's just their character creature design.
So it was a fun time. Some interesting things when it comes to like mini games. You know how Ratchet always has those hacking mini games? This one has this really weird concept where anytime you hack something, it pulls from a grab bag of like 5 to 7 random mini games. Like push the right buttons in the right order, or literally one of them is snake. You have to like control the snake to eat the 3 things in a certain amount of time. They're not special, but it was like novel. It was interesting that like, which one am I going to get? Oh, and then you see them all, and it's not, but they're also not a pain in the butt either. So it doesn't really matter that much. The weapons were fun to use. I do kind of wish instead of going, the best thing about these games is getting a crazy wacky weapon, upgrading it, seeing it change. Like that is the bread and butter of Ratchet and Clank for me. Watching your weapons upgrade and change just a little bit and do more damage. This game, I feel like, could have definitely changed its weapon system. Basically, you unlock over the course of the game 4 main weapons that are attached to your D-pad, and that's how you can. I believe that's how you can select them. And it's really just as simple as like, here's your basic gun, here's a sniper, here's a like mini turret submachine gun, and I don't remember what the other one is. They were nothing special weapon wise, and even though they felt fun to use, and I enjoyed switching back and forth between them, the gameplay feels pretty solid. Um, just the excitement of getting a cool new unique weapon that visually looks different. That's the other thing. The weapons suffer the same issue as the characters. They're very boilerplate Lego looking weapons. So
you're not filling out 2 full wheels of weapons.
But some really, really cool environments in this game. Like there's some environments I got to. Even the soundtrack, pretty good. There's some bops in this game. If you like PS2 Ratchet era games, like I said, there's not enough of them. This is worth checking out. Even if you don't finish it, it's a decent length. Let me see if I can find my playtime. But even if you just hopped in this for, a few hours to get until you decide you're done, I think it's worth checking out. Plus, you guys have it in the library, so
sweet. Yeah, I mean, I love Ratchet and Clank. I love that era of game, and I just at a glance I can tell this is going to be for me for sure.
Yeah. Playtime 9.3 hours. So I guess that's not even that long. That's how long it took.
No, it's a nice palate cleanser.
8 to 9 hours. Yeah. So
and when a palate cleanser can emulate Ratchet and Clank, then sure.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Totally. We need more of them. So, all right, you guys go.
I am.
That was an excellent game and story. Now you guys tell one.
Calvin, just kidding. How many do you have left, Calvin? I have
one more, and it depends on.
Okay,
if we want to talk about Lord's Levi.
Yeah, just do your best. We're going to be an hour and a half here, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I can go next then, and then we can do your final one, and I think Levi has some more. So
just say the name of the game, and then we'll move on to Calvin.
Okay, I played another game that might be in my top 20 in April, and that is
top 20 all time.
Maybe I need more time. And I need to look at there's so many games that like I need to sit down and look at the list.
I know we've got 50 games.
What is actually how I feel like there's so many games that it's going to be hard to get, but it's that level of good that it could be.
What is it? What did you play?
Outer Wilds.
No way. You played Outer Wilds.
I've been keeping it secret. I've been lying to
you.
I started it end of March.
Living a double life.
I've been living a double life. I started it at the end of March, and then most of it I played early April. And
oh my gosh, April is we done went and played too many good games in April.
Too many good games in April. I'm a little worried about that. But yeah, so Outer Wilds. This is a game. This is my third time trying to play it. The first time I tried to play it a couple of years ago, it was interesting.
This is 6 or 7 years old at this point. I think.
Yeah, I think it came out in like 2020 or 2021, so it's like 4 or 5 years old. But well, that's not true. I think it came out as an indie game first, and then was like republished. So
I legitimately thought you said you were 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, what?
Leap years, obviously.
Yeah. I'm only 8 years old, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I tried to play this back in like 2022, and I thought it was cool. I got a couple hours in, and I was intrigued, but I wasn't clicking with the mechanics of like, so this, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a space exploration game, kind of a mystery puzzle exploration game where
I would say this is one of the only, if not the only 3D Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it, because all of the upgrades are just
knowing things.
learning
how it works. And so this game is very dependent on you not looking it up. You got to learn it yourself. And I wanted to experience it that way, because everyone who loves this game is like, you just got to experience it and figure it out and this and that. And so the first, 2 times I tried it over the past 4 years, I got a couple hours in, liked it, but the mechanics of, because the physics engine is really interesting, and like everything is based on you're in a solar system, everything's orbiting the sun, there's all these planets, and everything is spherical. I watched a thing on the developers talking about how hard it was to make this game in some ways, because a lot of times in game development you're building on like flat planes, and like the physics is kind of based on that, whereas this was all based on like orbs and spheres, and like they had to kind of work within that, and you can kind of feel it as you move around these planetary bodies. And then the way you fly around in your ship, you're kind of controlling your thrusters. And once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad, but it's different from a lot of stuff.
It does feel weird. Yeah.
It feels weird. And the first couple hours, I just it didn't click and I didn't like it. And I was like,
and another quick interjection. The game is based off of a 15-minute time loop. So every 15 minutes, you're resetting the game essentially in a roguelite manner. It's a roguelite Metroidvania is the genre. If you know what those words mean, you know what the game is now. And every 15 minutes, you reset. And hopefully you know more to do more with your 15 minutes this time.
I think it's 22 minutes, but yeah.
Is it more? Okay.
It might, yeah, I could be wrong. But either way, yeah, you have a certain period of time to go out into the solar system and learn things and start to piece things together. And then the sun explodes and you start over. You wake up again. And your goal is to figure out, why is the sun exploding? What's happening? And as you explore, there's a bunch of different like planets and celestial bodies in your solar system. You learn things about the universe. There's like an ancient alien civilization that was here, aeons ago.
Subnautica-esque.
Yeah. And that is part of the driver too. And another thing that made this game a little hard to get into at first is they just tell you to go explore. Like, you'll talk to someone on the planet you start on. They're like, where are you going to go explore? You're like, I don't know.
You're like,
and so you kind of just start venturing out. And mild spoilers, but the first place I went to was this place called Dark Bramble, and there are some monsters there, and I got eaten by a monster. That was like the first thing that happened. It's like I found the most dangerous place in the universe that is more of an end game place.
Immediately got
eaten, which was kind of great. I was like, oh my god,
sounds about right.
What just happened? But as I played more, and I would say the 10 hour mark is really where I caught my stride. Like at past the 5 hour mark, I got used to the controls, and then past the 10 hour mark, I had started piecing enough things together that I really just fell in love with this game and became kind of obsessed with it. And like, this is all I played for a couple weeks. I am just really impressed at the way the Metroidvania stuff works, where you piece things together. It feels so satisfying to discover this universe. And because the game is about exploring this solar system and learning about the secrets of this ancient alien civilization, where they go, the secrets of the time loop, why does the sun keep blowing up and what can we do about it? And then the secrets of each planetary body has its own unique thing that is so creative and interesting. It's not just like a grass planet and a water planet. You have like
different chemicals and like just ways that they're constructed, and
very interesting like physics ideas. Like there's a one called the Ash and Ember Twin, and they're these two planets that are like connected in their orbit, and one of them is covered in sand, and over the time loop, the sand is pulled from the sand planet onto the other planet. And what's cool is if you're on the planet that the sand is pouring onto, it's full of like canyons and caves and stuff. And if you're there too long, all the cave systems fill up with sand and you suffocate. So it's like you have to beat the clock, and it's like everything is dynamic and changing. Yeah. And this pillar of sand is just like circling the radius of this planet. And then if you're on the other side, the planet where the sand comes from, over time, the sand dissipates and uncovers a bunch of stuff that's buried. It's things like that where it's like, and there's a lot of like puzzles that play off of those things. There's another planet that is a water-based planet that has these giant water tornadoes, and you're just in this tornado planet. And then there are some things with the tornadoes that are used to uncover and explore the planet in a deeper way. And it's just so creative with its planets and what they're doing and how you like uncover those things. And then it folds in this really interesting story with this ancient alien civilization. Another thing that's incredible about this game is the writing, because you'd think like the way you learn about the alien civilization is you'll find like runes on a wall, like this script, and you have a little translator, and it'll translate like a little snippets of text. And there's two things about this that actually make it really satisfying to do. Is you think, oh, scanning some text on a wall, that's not very fun. But it was always fun because, one, every snippet of text that I found in some way was helpful to learning about the universe, giving you clues as to other places to look, or helping you connect the dots of how certain things are working. And the other reason it was so cool is you got a sense of character from this alien. A lot of times ancient alien civilizations in like sci-fi and fantasy feel very disconnected and distant, and it's just kind of like this whatever. but the writer would create characters, and so you'd have like a married couple in love talking back and forth to each other over this script in these ancient ruins of like, oh, I found this thing, I can't wait to see you later, or whatever. Or you'd have like kids like playing a game in the bones of an ancient creature, and you would get these pretty distinct character voices, or you'd learn like their hopes and fears, and you know what happened to them. The sun blew, or I don't know. Yeah, they died. Like the sun is blowing up. They're long gone. And so there's this kind of like tragedy of like seeing such little uh sort of mundane snippets of life in such a close and personal way, knowing the larger picture of what happens to the civilization. And then you can kind of compare that to you and like your species, because you're like a different alien race. And it kind of gives you this sense of community that's lost, but also it kind of reminds you of the community you're trying to save from the sun exploding. And I found it kind of simple but poignant, and I was always excited to like uncover this stuff. Um, yeah, so try and wrap this up. Music was also incredible. Like the composer did a great job with a very simple but powerful melody that kind of gives you this bittersweet feeling of inevitable. Like this game is very much the inevitable ending that's coming. You're gonna die at this time loop. What can you do with the time you have? And I feel like it played with that so well thematically, mechanically, and the way it all culminates, I thought was very satisfying. And it's the way it wraps up, and it pulls together mechanics and themes and music and characters and some revelations about everything. um it was so good, and it gets epic. Like there are some things that happen that are really epic, really wild. Such a great sci-fi experience, such a special, unique game. The only downside I really feel for this game is that because it's a Metroidvania, you can only experience it that way once, which to varying degrees is true of any game. But it's like when you go back and play this, there's certain things that you'll always know the answer to now. And that's fine though, because that's also what's special about
you might
this.
think that.
Yeah, I'll forget. You're right. I'll forget, and I'll be like, "What?"
So just to briefly chime in. First of all, I think it's no coincidence that you went from playing PPTCG and Card Shop Simulator to Blueprints and Outer Wilds. Massive swing of the pendulum.
Whiplash.
There.
Yeah.
You were like, I need some substance.
I need something.
So I played this game, I don't know, probably a year after it came out, more closer to its release. And for some reason, it didn't really click with me. I did beat it.
I remember that. And I'm kind of surprised by that.
I remember beating it and just being like not really moved by the game. And then seeing, it's beloved. I mean, this is an all-timer for most people who've played it. Skill Up won't shut up about this game. It's his all-time favorite game in the universe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not my all-time favorite, but I
will tell you, I have forgotten literally. I remember the end of that game, but I couldn't exactly tell you how I got there, and I don't remember most of the solutions. So maybe I do need to replay this game, and I don't know. I mean, this was a little bit earlier on in, the timeline of me playing a whole bunch of games. I don't think that should have mattered. I don't know why this game didn't click for me, because I love Metroidvanias. I was
going to say, that's the type of thing you love. The sci-fi elements were so interesting, and it was such a fun thing to explore. Like it.
I just don't remember any puzzles that really felt incredible to solve. But again, I don't remember. It's
not a traditional puzzle game either. But
it is all about unraveling puzzles, essentially. It's an immersive puzzle.
Yeah. It surprises me that this game, because I remember you saying that. I went in thinking maybe this isn't going to hit, because I know you were kind of whelmed is maybe the term, because I don't think you hated it, right? You just
I just kind of was like, oh, that was fun, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm surprised. Like this game really.
So you're much more in the majority than I am.
Yeah, I wish I was more unique or contrarian, but I love this, and I think it's it's such its own thing too. Like there's, again, like Blueprints, there's nothing I've played like Outer Wilds, and
that's totally true.
Something special about it. I need to sit down with my list, but I feel like this could very well be in my top 20 somewhere.
There could also be an element of this was one of the first, probably one of the earlier, or if not first, games I played that had that reset mechanic. So maybe I just didn't. Maybe I was not used to it and didn't like it. Maybe you, having played a bunch of other roguelites and things like that, you're more conditioned, and maybe that didn't hit right for me. I don't know. So
maybe, and sometimes
sometimes
things
replay
don't
it.
hit right at the right time, and then later they can be amazing.
Could totally be.
It took me
like I said,
the
I've
first couple
forgotten enough.
times I didn't like.
I think I actually could replay this. So
yeah, maybe at some point you should try.
I have not played it. Having not played it and knowing very little about it, what you were describing as far as the world building and the story through, characters that you've never met, but you're seeing kind of how they lived their lives. Very much, I could be off here, but having not played the game, it very much reminded me of Jasant and how the world building and the story is told through Jasant. Does that sound?
I haven't played Jasant.
Levi?
I can't help you too much here. I told you I forgot most of everything.
But...
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like these little, what do they call it? Something of life.
Slice.
What's the phrase? Slice of life. Kind of slice of life dialogue from a time bygone time. Yeah, very similar.
But it was the slice of life, and what they did that was so good with it is the slice of life was almost always helpful or interesting in some other dimension too. And so it's kind of like you're getting multiple things at once. You're getting world building. You're getting a little bit of a hint in some area of things you should go explore or look at. But this game's cool. I think you should check it out at some point too, Calvin, because you might like it.
It sounds cool. I mean, just that one element that I latched onto. Jasant has no puzzle aspect to it, so that's not an element there. But again, that world building and that storytelling through the characters that you're just reading their notes and their interactions, and they're all gone at this point with such powerful world building that really worked for me.
I would love for you to play it, Cal, because it would help round out our little trifecta here, because I really have long wondered why that game didn't click for me. To hear Zach really loved it, if you really love it, it might more.
Then Levi knows his opinion is objectively wrong.
And then I know it's categorically incorrect.
No, I'd be curious, because I will say Outer Wilds has two strikes against you in that it is first person.
Never gonna play it.
Yeah, and it is time. It's a time loop, so it's sort of roguelike in that sense. Like you will get reset.
It's literally Pacific Drive.
Yeah, no, it feels although it can be stressful at times, but it can also be very zen and peaceful.
I remember it being a little eerie though.
It goes back and forth. Like there are moments of pure bliss and peace and zen, and like feeling at one with the universe. And then there
we'll continue to diagnose
moments,
this with Calvin.
And then there are some really creepy moments.
It's going to be ongoing therapy for years.
If I had to bet, you'll get a half an hour into Outer Wilds and be like, no. And if you do love Outer Wilds, I will be back to the drawing board about what it is you don't like. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it is tough because I hear everything about it and I'm like, that sounds awesome. And then I hear that it's first person and I'm immediately like,
Yeah, it's first person and it's time loop.
You have to get it on, maybe get it on Steam, play it on Steam Deck while you're gone.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But you got to give it a little bit of time. Like
perhaps
you got to get used to the mechanics too. The physics and like flying your ship feels really odd at first. And for the first couple of times I tried it, I was like, this sucks. I don't like flying this. This is too hard to control. It's janky. You'll get the hang of it. And it's actually not bad. And once you get the hang of it, it's kind of fun and you learn how to use those physics to do everything you need to do. But it takes
Calvin,
it takes a little bit of time.
I'm sorry, go ahead. You are so far south that the sun is about to set on you. Have you noticed that?
I made a comment about it a little while ago of how orange everything is for me.
I know. I'm like, what? Are you in a different country? Like, what is happening right now?
No, it's actually this is the natural lighting outside. The orange is from a light above me.
He just has all.
It totally looks like a sunset. It looks like sunset color. Let me jump in real quick. You're looking at a man who has finished Armored Core 6.
Oh,
in April.
Shocker.
I did it.
That's Rubicon.
Guys.
That's the new one, right?
Fires of Rubicon. It's the game that has sat on
wow.
Probably all of our dashboards for 2 years, 3 years while we just looked at it.
That's a game I played 20 minutes of for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I opened it up and I was like, all right, now's the time. Let's find out. Is this game, can it convert me? You know, I've kind of had it in my back pocket thinking, okay, FromSoft has something good here based on all the reception it had. Let me go into it knowing it's not a Souls game, letting it be its own thing, figure it out, try and find that gameplay loop, find the fun. And I guess I'm just here to report that it's fine. It's not a must play by any means. If you like mechs, if you need a mech fantasy, yeah, it's a cool game. It's got some cool mech stuff in it. This game lives and dies way more in the building aspect. If you're someone who likes to tinker and create a build and create another build, and most of the wins and losses, so to speak, in this game come at the fabrication stage. If you, I think you're muted, Zach, but
I said something really insightful, but this time I'll just say, "Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good."
Darn. So yeah, if you fail miserably and it's just not working, chances are you need to go back to the building station and get some new parts and kind of reorient how your mech is built, and if it's quick or if it's slow, or what kind of legs it has, how does it maneuver, can it hover in the air, what weapons are you using. That said, I did kind of find my one build. This game has a posture type system where some of your weapons do impact damage, and then some do physical and some do like energy. And the impact damage builds up a meter on their bar, and when it's full, they will stagger, and you can get a ton of damage in. So it's kind of like that posture system. So I just leaned into like, all right, the goal is to break their posture and then come in with this giant melee weapon I have and just like charge it and take half their health bar. And that worked for pretty much the whole game. And it was fun. It was satisfying to like break their posture and then come in and you have to be quick because their posture isn't broken for long, especially certain enemies. So you have to be like getting right up on them as soon as it breaks, and then you charge it up. And I would just like one shot some of these other mechs that you're fighting. The movement is very peculiar. It's very specific to this game. You have to get used to the gliding around on your mech and the kind of the stamina of hovering and jumping and locking on. And there were a couple moments. There was a Genichiro moment where I fought this boss and I was gliding and jumping over him and reloading and getting in my stagger and melee. And I was like, dude, this feels really cool. But I feel like the combat never evolved beyond that. Like once I reached that moment, that was probably the coolest moment. I just kind of did the same thing through the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. There's some pretty cool set pieces. There's some pretty cool like industrial fantasy mech set pieces. The story has some like decision-making elements to where you could replay it. And I think you're intended to replay it. I got to the end, rolled credits, and was like, I don't really want to replay it. It was fine enough. There was one really cool boss fight about halfway through that was probably the peak of the game for me. Like just really cool. Basically, you're fighting a giant mech sandworm. And it was just really, really epic. Very cool. Probably worth the entry just for that alone. But no, I would say that if you're a Souls fan and you're looking at this game and you're thinking, is this the Sekiro where it's just like, oh, it's different, but once you get into it, it's really gonna. I don't think that's the case. I think this is for the people it's for. If you're a mech person, cool. It seems like a well enough made game, but it just didn't have. For me, it didn't have the sauce, and there you go. I think it took me probably around 12 to 15 hours to beat it.
Oh, that's not too
pretty. That's really bad. Short for
maybe 15 plus, but yeah, it's not a terribly long game. Like I said, I think it has 5 chapters. And I was doing about a chapter a night, maybe not every time, but again, it's meant to be replayed, and at certain missions you do different things. And I do think even if you replay it, like certain dialogue will change, and it kind of has a near automata type of thing
that's
going,
right.
I think.
Yeah.
But I wasn't having enough fun with it to consider a second playthrough. Again.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's good to know, because I think mechs are cool, but the gameplay from the gameplay I did, I think I fought one boss. It was neat, but I wasn't in love with it, and knowing that it just kind of is probably more of that. I might try it again someday, but it's not a high priority, I think. But
yeah. And the other thing I think is replaying missions and trying to get S rank, which I think has to do with like not using heals and things like that. And I'm just like, that sounds awful to me. Honestly,
it doesn't sound as fun. Yeah,
it's pretty hard to not get hit. Like you have shields you can equip, and I'm sure there's ways to make it work and feel cool. But like, there's a lot of chaos and bullets everywhere, and you're just kind of getting hit. And this game doesn't feel like a no-hit type of thing. It feels like you take chip damage and you just try and that's the thing I'll say, is that most combat encounters in this game kind of felt like create a build where you can kill them so quick it doesn't matter what they do. Like that's kind of how it felt, instead of like learning the fight and learning when to parry and dodge. And it was more so like, I need to create a build that counters what they do so well that, you know, they're just dead in the first, like you're trying to win these fights in 30 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
So,
which, yeah, for me, I mean, even if I go into the game fully knowing that it's not a Souls-like and not having any expectations for that, at the end of the day, that's not the gameplay I enjoy. I don't really love, you know, building and tinkering and finding a build and just the chaos and taking hits all the time. I would much rather, in a
yeah.
combat focused game, I'd much rather have something that, you know, a little more deliberate, where I can control what's happening a little bit more and learn enemies, learn bosses. So
Calvin, this is third person though.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll love it. It's third person.
It's third person. It's not roguelike.
I think you know who you are if this, you can look at this
I
game
think
and
you can kinda
decide if you
tell.
like it or not. I just always thought like, you know, there's something there waiting for me, and I had to find out, and it wasn't for me. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's nice to have that
there
confirmed
you have
because
it.
it's been kind of in my periphery,
yeah,
and I probably wasn't going to prioritize it, but it is kind
Yeah,
of
I
nice.
think both of
It
you
is.
could
It is what
take
you
it off
think it
the
is,
list.
and it sounds kind of neat, but also it's probably
yeah,
not.
it really has been, until very recently, it's been on my homepage still, like downloaded.
Yeah,
And
I know. It's been
definitely
sitting on my
checking it out.
homepage for
Get it
years, and
out
I'm
of
just like,
there.
all right, it's time.
Get that off there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Cool.
right, Cal,
All
should I
right.
go again, or are you going? Who's going?
I have one more I could talk about, but it could go either way. I could also talk about it next month. It's a little.
Well, then I guess maybe let's save that one because
Yeah, and I've got.
we're running
I
long.
Yeah, and I'll save mine for next month. I'm also playing the Oblivion remake remaster, and I'm probably 10 to 15 hours into it at this point. But I'm going to be playing more of it, so I can talk about it in our next one
What is in May?
in May.
Let's see, where are we at? April. Okay. Should I save mine? We're at 120. I'll briefly touch on these two that I'm playing, and then I'll you know, just because I'm most the way through them. I'm in that weird spot of the month where
Yeah.
we're recording a little bit early, but Atlas Fallen, I've been playing. Me and Cal checked it out in co-op a little bit. I don't know that co-op makes it any better. Honestly, it runs really well in co-op, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But Atlas Fallen is a third-person action game, just very much an action game from a few years ago. And they've continued to update it, and they came out with like a Rain of Sand edition, and very much feels like they've put love into it and brought it to a place where it's assumedly better than it was at launch. I will say it's on PS Plus Extra, so I did download it and check it out there, though I've been playing on PC, and it runs surprisingly well on PlayStation 5, which I hate that we have to say that, and it's such a low bar, but like it looks and runs like a modern game on PS5, so that's good. I have approached a point later in the game where you get to a bigger open zone area, and I've had some pretty big stuttering frame issues, especially in like the towns with people,
On PlayStation?
which has been on PC
on
even.
PC?
So that's been a real bummer, because all of that aside, this game is so fun. Like, I just am having a blast play. This is like a blockbuster action game. Like, it's just simple, fun traversal and action. And the one thing I'll say to you guys is that I don't think I've ever played a game that feels anywhere near as close to this like I'm playing a Knight Radiant. Like it feels like a little bit like your Cal Stormblessed running around a little bit. I mean,
That's
you're
a pretty
just,
good pitch.
I know, you're just dashing all over the place. The sand. So one of the core mechanics of this game is a sand,
Glide.
slide, grind, kind of like you're skiing on sand out of nowhere, you know, just really fast paced though. And it's just so dope. Like, you'll just, from a dead stop, you just start sprinting. And if you're on sand, your guy will just start kind of like sliding through the sand at a very fast speed. And then you can go into, you know, double jump and then triple dash. And combat can be very aerial in nature, and you just have a lot of movement. There's a really good parry. You're parrying enemies. The combat can be finicky at times as far as lock on, because you're usually fighting 3 to 5 enemies at once. I've had trouble getting used to the lock on. There's some settings you can tweak with it and stuff, but like it's just fun, man. The combat is built off of a momentum system. So when you start out, your momentum bar is empty, and as you attack enemies, your momentum bar fills up, and there's like 3 sections of your momentum bar, and with each section, it's kind of hard to explain. But if you go into your like UI, you can attach like talismans or gems that basically correspond to certain sections of your momentum bar. And when your momentum reaches wherever that notch, then that gem is activated and you gain that perk, or you can use that ability. And the more your momentum bar fills up, the bigger and stronger your attacks get, but you also take more damage. And then if your momentum bar fully fills, you can execute a like giant slam attack with this just massive hammer that feels super satisfying. So it's just like the most arcadey. You're a knight radiant running around this barren sand planet. It's just dope. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I'll mostly leave it there, but like, yeah, I've just been really enjoying it. Having a blast. The upgrade system, the combat, it all feels good. It's got transmog for your armor. It's just been a real fun blockbuster action type of good time.
It's crazy. I'm looking at OpenCritic, and this did not review well.
No, yeah,
all.
it's not one that's cool, like critically acclaimed or anything. And I kind of went into it expecting this to be a 7 out of 10 potential write-off after a couple hours. Be like, all right, it's on my backlog. I've thought it's looked cool for a long time. Mm-hmm. I've been meaning to check it out, but this very much fell into the bucket of like, this is a 6.5 to 7.5 out of 10 for people, just lost in the sea of games. And I don't know. It could just be me, but I'm just running through this, just having a blast. It's not a life-changing world or writing or anything, but I've been enjoying the world. And it just feels like, I think if you like Stormlight, you'll latch on a little bit to the location. Some of the locations in this game,
I know the location looks a little bit
they're visually cool. Yeah, like there's some like otherworldly location you get to visit with your
verticality too.
Yeah, a lot of verticality, but like you have this gauntlet that there is there's no other way to put it than it's basically like a spren. You have a spren in this gauntlet, and sometimes he can manifest as a person if you're at certain locations, or he's just like this wisp that joins you.
That's
and so it's just it's very Stormlight like, and sometimes you get to go into this alternate world or dimension as Nile is the name of your spren, and you get to be him in this alternate dimension, and it is so visually like stunning and cool looking, and you're fighting as him, and it's kind of similar combat, but he's souped up and has like even bigger abilities. I don't know. This is just like a blockbuster popcorn fun action. I'm gonna
give this a try. Like, I had written it off because when this was first like coming out, this was on our radar, and I was like, this looks pretty neat. And then it got pretty bad reviews, so I just forgot about it. So I'm glad you tried it, and I think this is a good reminder that just because things don't review well doesn't mean you shouldn't try them necessarily if something calls out to you.
Yeah, totally.
Or in my case,
I would put this.
You should just let your friend do it, and then
let your friend do it. Let your friend spend 15 hours. Yeah, this is definitely like
my video game friend. My friend.
It's an awkward relationship there.
Yeah. I would say that this. I haven't finished it yet, and the performance has been a bummer because I've gotten to this point where in certain towns the performance is really hurting me, and I'm like, man, maybe I should have stuck with PS5. Maybe it's better because PS5 is pretty smooth with this game. But this might be in the bucket of like a Timesia where it's like reviews did this dirty. It's actually a really fun game, and I guess I can't say that because we never know the state they came out in. True, maybe this game really was bad at launch. I don't know. But I do want to call this. When we sit down to talk about May, I kind of want to start with this game once I've finished it and just shout it out again. Not that anyone listens to these, but like I want people to play this game because it's actually pretty dope, I think.
The little bit I did play, I mean, we played a couple hours in co-op, like you said. I haven't played since, but in that little window that I've played, lots of fun. Everything you said, the combat specifically, is one of the very few things that really reminded me of the combat from Immortals Phoenix Rising. I think it has more going on. There's more maybe
I think it's similar.
There's more
similar,
happening, but I've never played another game that felt like Immortals Phoenix Rising game, like combat wise, and it's just a blast. And so when it started reminding me of that, it was that's good stuff.
Yeah. So again, I'll shout this out next month. I've been having a blast with it. I will finish it here in the next week or two. So, last thing, just to shout out real quick, Phantom Spark. This is a small Steam Deck game that I picked up, or just Steam game in general, on a sale. Kind of grabbed a couple and saw what stuck, refunded what didn't. And this game, I'm so glad I picked it up because it just kind of looks like, oh, this is a fun little racer game. And I guess that is what it is, but it is so well done. Like every element of this game
is
cool.
So.
I didn't recognize the name. Yeah,
I know the name is forgettable. I keep forgetting the name, but yeah. Phantom Spark. It is basically, it's got the Trackmania element. It's a time trial racing game. You're not racing anything physical. You're racing ghosts and just trying to get a really good time. Very momentum based, and it's kind of like that mixed with if you're our age, you wanted to race pods from Star Wars. Like it's just got this like pod racer, Trackmania time trial, and the art style is maybe one of my favorite art styles I've ever seen. Like every time I'm racing on one of these tracks, especially on PC, 4K OLED HDR, this game looks so good.
Have you made it
and then on Steam Deck,
the first world?
I have. So I've been slow rolling it because how this works is you have like a character who's like the boss or face of a world, and you do like 12 races, and you can get bronze, silver, gold times, and then after you get the gold time, the boss will set like the track master time eventually. And so if you're trying to do that, you're trying to get all of them. I've gotten the track master times on all of the first world, and now I'm like 3 or 4 races into the second world, which also looks like stunning. It's just the color, the set pieces, the alien architecture and art design, like the way the tracks have little like details in the track that just looks so good. The grass looks so good. This is gonna go on my. We talked about it last month with Pepper Grinder and Lunistis. This is one of those games for me. Like this is just a 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 focused experience that is just like, it is focused on being a precise, really well-made racing game, and it does it perfectly. And I just don't ever want it to end. So
cool.
Hopefully it never does. Maybe it never ends. Maybe there's like a million worlds, you know.
You can hope. I might have to check that one out at some point.
Trackmania took me years to finish.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. It has it because like after you get the gold time, the boss of the world will be like, hey, I beat your time if you want to come back and check it out. So then you beat their time, and then you can request another one and another one until, and the one frustration, but it doesn't really matter, is you don't know when the actual Trackmaster time is. So they're just kind of incrementally like working you toward that Trackmaster, and you can beat the boss until you get the different color. It shows that it's purple now. You've gotten the Trackmaster, and it feels satisfying. But like, it's just so good. The momentum and the turning and the letting off the, like it's the kind of game where like, do I let off the gas for an 1/8 of a second, or do I let off the gas for a 1/16 of a second here? Like it's really precise stuff. And it's a great Steam Deck game too. So
yeah,
I'll talk about it a little bit more next month, but
cool.
April, man, good games this month. Yeah. Jeez, we're just playing like Oblivion. In the thick of it.
Oblivion remaster's awesome.
Everyone's
I won't go into it.
Oblivion.
It's for if you're a fan of Oblivion, they somehow kept all of the weirdness, and some of the jank that defines it in a way, while upgrading a lot of the visuals, adding some quality of life, and I'm thoroughly sucked into Oblivion right now. Like it's one of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and they've done a good enough job modernizing it that it's like I might be playing Oblivion for a little while, and that's okay. So.
That's cool that you have the nostalgia for it, because that's what I've been hearing is that if you played Oblivion and you love Oblivion, this is probably one of the greatest things you'll get this year.
Yeah.
But then I have been hearing from some other people that if you have not played Oblivion and you don't have the nostalgia, that it's kind of got that old game feel to it.
It has
so
old
it
game
probably
old
won't
feel,
work for me. But
I don't think it will work for you. It definitely feels old in some ways, but it's very immersive in other ways, and it's such a weird game. I'll talk more about it next month, but it's great. I love it.
Now you got Oblivion and Kingdom Come.
Oblivion, Kingdom
Both
Come. We got
finish.
Blueprints, Outer Wilds. So many good games.
Yeah. Well.
And yeah. Who knows? Who knows what I'll finish? But
Yeah, I mean, there's this Kingdom Come. I loved Kingdom Come too, and I just am like, I don't think I'll ever finish that game. It's just I reached my finish point with that. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do out there? There's too many games.
I know.
In April,
I haven't even gotten to
all but
Clair,
over. So
Clair Obscur came out this month.
I cannot wait to get to Clair Obscur.
I'm so excited, but I'm trying to force myself, enjoy Oblivion for now, finish up the main stuff in Blueprints, get to Clair Obscur when I get to Clair Obscur. But I am so excited for that.
Oh, this month is overwhelming.
The only thing to do is to
this year
to quit your job and all social activities and obligations and just
I know all we need is 1 million subscribers right here, and then we can finish these games.
That's right. So everybody, all 1 million of you thinking about watching, go ahead and click. And then subscribe.
1 million of you. Okay. That's all it takes. Just in like 30 seconds, if we could get 1 million people to just randomly like spontaneously subscribe.
You know, all success takes is 1 million fans.
Random people deciding to do the same thing at one time.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Cool. Well, I'm glad we were able to sit down and do this before Calvin disappears from the States for a little while. And we will
gallivanting.
He's going to frolic the globe. And we will reconvene in approximately 30 days to talk more about Phantom Spark and Atlas Fallen and Oblivion and whatever else. Probably Clair Obscur.
Hopefully Clair Obscur.
Probably, definitely, maybe. So, cool. Glad we were able to sit down and do this, guys. And if you're out there, thank you for joining us. We will catch you next month. What's going on? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily. I'm your host, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
I am Greg Miller.
I'm Greg
this podcast
Miller.
Stars in the bank.
Stars in the bank. Man, that bit really went on for a long time.
Yeah. Some say it's still going. Actually, I don't know if it's still going.
No, it's over.
Is it over? Okay. I think
Greg got weird and then it got funny again and then it was over.
Yeah, he went so long it actually kind of did get funny, and then I think it seemed like he got to a point where everyone else was like, please stop.
Like, all right, let's get this over with.
Which I kind of
like, I can't sleep anymore.
I kind of respect the look in Tim Getty's eyes every time.
He's a true terrorist. Like, Greg is insane. I
love
you
it.
Should not give him things.
I love
Do not give him any amount of power because he will ruin everything. All right, let me pull up Steam. All right, let's retry that. Let's start again.